Hi, hello, my name is Oscar Fire, and I hated Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now you see, if I was a more professional YouTuber, there'd probably be like some sort of like little opening there, but I don't have that because Lord knows, I've only been using this channel basically as vlogging for months, but years. But yeah, I was wholly unimpressed by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh boy, I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. There's so many things I could say, but I don't know. Hate is a bit of a strong word. I thought it was watchable, more watchable than Book of Boba Fett for sure, but that was not a good series. That was not a good series at all. Like legitimately in that last episode, I don't think I've ever been outright bored watching Star Wars before, but I was bored watching the finale of Kenobi. Like there's all these cool things happening, and I'm just kind of like, huh. You know, I was like actively resisting the temptation to check, because, you know, I watch things on my computer, and my main monitor's here, that's where my webcam is, and then I have my second monitor over here, and I had to keep resisting temptation to like just look at Discord, look at channels on Discord while I was watching Kenobi, and that's bad. That's really bad, and it's really bad in no small part because it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. You know, this series, frankly, this series should have been a slam dunk. It should have been an easy win for Lucasfilm to make a, you know, just make even a decent series. And like this entire time, I'm just like as time went on, I'm just like, what am I watching? What is the story? What is the story? How is the story? How is the story supposed to fit into what we already know? Like what is? Who thought this story? Who thought this show up? Because they did a terrible job, and I'm shocked they did a terrible job, given that it was, you know, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. This was, I don't know, it was, the finale just felt like a bunch of unearned and relatively silly moments, and I can't fathom why precisely anyone thought that any of the writing in this series was good. Now, I'll tell you right now, I actually, you know, some people kind of like were down on it, but I actually kind of really liked the first episode. I thought the first episode was a nice setup and everything, and I mean, I'm not overly keen on the idea of Obi-Wan like having kind of lost his way and everything. Given that his whole goal was to protect Luke Skywalker, it seems kind of weird that he would bury his lightsabers and basically become Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi. I thought that was weird. I thought it didn't make sense because Obi-Wan clearly had a defined purpose on being on Tatooine. He wasn't just there to hide, he was there to protect. Now Yoda, on the other hand, was in Dagobah to kind of hide and to meditate, right? But Obi-Wan wasn't. Obi-Wan had a clearly defined mission as a Jedi Knight. And the idea that he would kind of low-key abandon that mission rubs me the wrong way. It strikes me as wrong. It strikes me as something that shouldn't be, you know, what he did. You know, but at the same time, I can also grasp, you know, Obi-Wan, especially even over time, kind of dwelling on things that happened, on events of the past. I could see Kenobi kind of becoming a little bit disillusioned and becoming, like, you know, less sure of himself and losing his sense of purpose and his clarity. I can see that. And that isn't a terrible premise. And honestly, goodness, I feel like it makes a lot more sense than what happened to Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. But then the show kind of takes like a turn where suddenly it becomes a show about Princess Leia and a show about the Inquisitor Reva. And I don't know why that is. You know, I saw some people speculate that, you know, Kenobi was going to be a more introspective, smaller scale show about Kenobi himself, which frankly it should have been. It should have been an introspective, small-scale character piece of Obi-Wan of Obi-Wan trying to, you know, commune with Qui-Gon Jinn and to and not doing anything dramatic and galaxy spanning and all that jazz. And that's not what the show was, and I don't really get why. I don't know why they felt the need to write a show that was, that was expansive and broad and brought in all these characters. Like, just make a show that's small for once. There's nothing wrong with a small scale show in a big galaxy, In fact, the bigger the universe, the better suited I feel like it is to finding, not just the broad big picture stories, but also finding these small little vignettes that you can just kind of like really home in on something that's very specific. And that's not what we got. I'll tell you right now, personally, I actually really liked little Leia. I think they didn't utilize her character the most effectively. I think they made her a little too smart and a little too precocious from time to time. But by and large, what is it, Vivian Lyra Blair, I think is her name? She did a really good job. Like for a little kid who, by the way, is clearly younger than 10 years old. But for a little kid, she did a really good job. And I really enjoyed her presence in the show. Leaving aside the fact that she wasn't, I think, properly utilized, I think that she carried herself really, really well. I think that for the most, she was very articulate. She sounded very intelligent when she needed to be. She's very much seemed like the kind of kid that Bail Organa would raise. And I liked that. I liked that a lot. I feel distinctly like, excuse me. I feel distinctly like almost like this is the kind of kid that Bail Organa would raise, given that Bail Organa was a friend of Padme Amidala. And I don't know. I really felt like that part of the show, for the most part, taken in isolation, clicked, actually. I think that part of the show worked out really, really well. But, like I said, I don't think they properly utilized the character. She does a few too many intelligent things. She does a few too many sort of precocious things. There's too much about her that is... She doesn't... The problem with the character isn't so much how the character is portrayed, it's how the character is written. And that's unfortunate. But I'll tell you right now, if I was going to watch more Star Wars, and frankly it's a matter of debate, but I'll get to that later. But if I was going to watch more Star Wars, I would be totally okay with a series centered around young Leia and Bail Organa on Alderaan, doing politician things. I would actually be totally down with that show. I would love that. I think that would be a great show. Or at least it would be a great show if all the writers in Star Wars weren't completely fucking incompetent. It'd be a great show if that wasn't the case. And then, of course, the other star of the show, Reva, played by Moses Ingram. I stopped caring. At the beginning, in the first 3 episodes, I just could not stand the character. By the last 3 episodes, I just didn't care. I don't like the character Reva. Reva is a boring, tedious character who is constantly overacted and very boring to watch. I don't understand. Well, I do understand. It's what a lot of people are going to say about being woke. That's what it is. Reva very much is a woke character. And in the first 3 episodes, it annoyed what the hell did I just say? In the first 3 episodes, it annoyed the hell out of me. Because the character is just... She's too aggressive, too belligerent, too insubordinate, and it feels like they just wrote this character to have... Sassy is the wrong word, but, to have, to have this assertive black woman in the series. And I'm just like... What? Why is she here? Why? Okay, so first of all, the thing that bothered me from the very beginning, before the show even aired, is why does this character not look like the other Inquisitors? Because you look at the other Inquisitors, you look at the Grand Inquisitor, you look at... shit, I can't remember the other designations. Is the fifth brother and I can't remember the other one, seventh sister, I think. You look at them, and they look like they've been corrupted by the dark side. They're pale, they're ashen, they got the Sith eyes. You know, they have all the they look, you know, they look evil and they look different. Reva just looks like a black woman, and that bugs. She looks like a black woman, and she's got like her actual name. She's throwing her actual name around instead of just being called the third sister. And this entire time, just like, why is this character here? Why does this character look so completely out of place, completely tonally out of step with the rest of Star Wars? Like, everything about her is wrong. And you know, and I feel like a lot of like critics on the internet, you know, a lot of your Star Wars YouTubers and so forth, don't have the freedom to say this, but I do, if only because I can't just be criticized out of hand for being racist, for saying that third sister Reva should not be a generic black woman. She just shouldn't. She should look like an Inquisitor. She should be, you know, she should look like the other Inquisitors. Maybe you can still give her some defining feature like her hair or whatever. Even though, I think there's still like, that doesn't really work because they're all wearing hoods or helmets or whatever the Grand Inquisitor has on the sides of its head. You know, like you should still have stuff like that, but you know, but you know, like, I don't know, she doesn't work, and she as a character portrayal, she's overly aggressive, she's obnoxious, she's tedious to watch. You know, she's constantly screaming. You know, during the second episode when she's leaping between the rooftops, and at one point she just kind of screams during one leap, and it's like, why did you do that? Why did you just scream in the middle of that leap? Are you all right? Pardon me, I'm gonna go do something real quick, actually. Okay, pardon the interruption. I saw a pill bug crawling around. This has been the year of the pill bugs. Like, a couple of years ago, it was like the year of the crickets. This year's the year of the pill bugs. I don't know what's going on. But, yeah, I just decided to go grab it and feed it to one of the spiders in my bathroom. So, anyway. But yeah, no. This character just feels, Reva feels completely out of step with the rest of the series, and she spends too much time being aggressive and screaming and maiming people and kind of being a psycho, honestly, and I don't understand why. I don't know why she's written like this. I don't know why she is. Like, just to come up with I don't know why she is. It's so confusing. You know, there's a couple of moments in the series where she's kind of more muted and more emotional, and I feel like those scenes would work if I wasn't already completely turned off from the character screaming open fire at the operators of that cannon on Jabim in episode 5. You know, they're trying to make her like sympathetic and like they're trying to make the character Reva sympathetic, and they're trying to make her like, oh, she's after revenge on Darth Vader. And I'm just kind of sat here thinking, okay, but she turned into a psycho murderer to do it. How am I supposed to sympathize with that? And I just feel like that writing is completely baffling. I don't understand why you would write the character like that. I don't know why you would think that we want a villain necessarily that we want to sympathize with. I'm completely lost on the existence of Reva. You know, I think that I feel like we have a character here who just doesn't belong where she is, and the end result is a whole lot of disappointment. And generally speaking, I'm very bothered by the plot of the show as well, because Obi-Wan encounters Darth Vader twice. You know, we have Leia running around, and she really knows Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they try with all these throwaway lines to kind of pretend that, oh, this doesn't conflict with A New Hope, but it does. You know, the idea that, Leia, grew on some level intimately bonded, in a guardian, in a guardian sort of relationship, with Obi-Wan, you know, where they clearly, you know, like have this emotional connection. And the idea that, you know, like it's just like, oh, well, but she's gonna treat Obi-Wan like he's basically nobody in A New Hope. It's just, that doesn't work. You can't do that. You can't write that way. You know, like you can totally... yeah, you can't do that. That doesn't make sense. You know, I don't really know why Leia actually is in this show. I don't know why they felt they needed to make a show that brought Leia into Obi-Wan's life like this. I don't get it. I'm completely baffled. You know, and then on top of that, the crappy writing surrounding it, the whole kidnapping plot and everything, and all you see is Leia running around away from adults who can clearly catch her within 3 seconds, that they literally just reach out and grab her, and you have all these ridiculous chase sequences in the first and second episodes. It's just like, how? Why? How is this a thing? Why do you think that no one's gonna look through this immediately? You know? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know who thought that was great writing, but it wasn't. You know, you have... I can't with this show. I can't with this show because, again, the show should have been a slam dunk. It should have been a great series. It should have been interesting. It should have been... It probably could have been kind of fun, maybe. But fun maybe wasn't the direction it should have been taken in. It should have been more... It should have been more introspective, and it should have been more deep. But instead, it's shallow, and it's transparent, and it's very clear what they're trying to do. And it's very clear what they failed to do. You know, the whole episode 5 in particular is just an awful episode. It's so stupid. You have them trying to defend this base on Jabim, and you have all these people crowded into this tiny room, and all these stormtroopers crowded outside of this doorway, and very few people get shot, even though everyone has a clear line of sight on one another. They don't seem to take sufficient advantage of the fact that they have a master, a master Jedi Knight, Jedi Master, directly in front of them to protect them. Reva doesn't do anything to protect her troops by leading from the front. What is that? How does that make sense? Why do they send only 2 transports full of soldiers to attack the base when they have a whole Star Destroyer to deploy troops from? Why doesn't Darth Vader just go there immediately? The whole firefight and the whole choreography makes no sense. There's the whole aspect of the 2 transports. Why the 2 transports to the base? And you're thinking, and it's like, I can't fathom anything about it. I can't fathom a single thing about this. And I think those are just the most. I think episode 5's writing issues are the most obvious writing issues to talk about. They're the most direct, the clearest issues, the hardest ones to really kind of work past. Everything else almost is secondary compared to the issues in that episode, where there's just so many ridiculous contrivances that it's just so hard to wrap your head around who thought it was a good idea to write like this. The writing. And that's the problem with the show. That's the ultimate problem with the show. The show is cheap. The show feels cheap. It's written cheaply. The design is kind of cheap. The CGI is cheap. I compare the CGI in this show to The Mandalorian, and there is no comparison. The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 looked great. It looked phenomenal. I felt like I was watching, for the most part, movie quality Star Wars watching The Mandalorian. I watched this show, and like in episode 4, when the T-47s, the air speeders, come in to help Obi-Wan, Tala, and Leia escape from the Inquisitor Fortress, and the air speeders are composited in so badly. It's so obvious they're composited in badly too, and it bugs the hell out of me because it doesn't look like a multi-billion-dollar corporation is making a television show You know, it looks like a much less wealthy studio is making this show. And if it was a less well-funded studio, I would accept a show with slightly cheap-looking CGI. But I can't accept it from Star Wars. You know, I don't get it. I don't get why the show looks so bad. I don't get why the show is written so bad. I don't get why... Like the first 10 minutes of the last episode, you have the rebel ship being pursued by the Devastator, and I don't understand how this ship that has no hyperdrive or anything, why is it not ever at any point disabled by the Devastator? Are you telling me that a barrage of turbo lasers coming from an Imperial class star? This is like The Last Jedi all over again, except a slightly more exciting. Like, what's the actual hell? How is this ship not disabled or destroyed by the Star Destroyer? And then Obi-Wan launches from an auxiliary craft, and I'm like, where is the ship contained inside the other ship? The ship is not that big to contain an auxiliary craft that big. Where did this second shuttle come from? And I'm just... like, there's no thinking whatsoever going into this... no thinking whatsoever went into this series. And it makes me mad, because it hurts the series in the grand scheme of things. And I'm just... you know? And by the time the show is done, I can't. I just don't care. You know? In the last episode, I kind of like Beru and Owen fighting Reva. You know, Reva clearly wasn't out to just kind of murder them. Though it would have been nice if they kind of established that Reva was more compassionate than the other Inquisitors. You know, maybe, like, you know, that she's someone who kind of is still following the light side of the Force and is infiltrating the Inquisitors so that one day she can kind of stab Darth Vader, you know, maybe one day. No, instead she's a psychopath, and her showing compassion and mercy to Haja in the second episode when he confronts her and she doesn't kill him, you know, and the idea that she would not just, you know, stab Owen and Beru when she confronts them because she's after Luke. I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of potential there if you had written it intelligently to make a character who is actually sympathetic because she shows mercy unexpectedly to people she doesn't have to show mercy to! Anyway, that's my thoughts on Kenobi. I could keep going, I could go into all the little details and everything, I can make this an hour-long video, but I don't want to. The only thing I'm gonna say is that I'm done with Star Wars. Legitimately, after the Book of Boba Fett, after the sequel trilogy, I'm done with Star Wars. I think one day I'll play Jedi Fallen Order because I did buy it, and it sounds like it's a really good game. I'll probably play that at some point, maybe on stream or something. I haven't installed. I started a little bit of it, but I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna restart it. I think I'm gonna play it. But that's because I already own it. But I have no interest in Star Wars anymore. I don't want to see any more movies. I don't want to see any more shows. I never watched Visions. I don't think I'm going to watch Visions. I never watched The Bad Batch, even though I understand it's pretty decent. I'm not going to go back and watch The Bad Batch. You know, I'm content with... of the Disney content, I'm content with the Clone Wars Season 7 and Rogue One. I don't need to watch anything else. You know, I'm content with having watched Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2. After the Book of Boba Fett kind of completely screwed that one up, you know, I don't see them salvaging The Mandalorian into a decent show. I'm done. Just like I haven't watched Star Trek since JJ rebooted it. I'm done. I'm done with it. I'm just going to watch other things. I'm just going to enjoy other things. I'm just going to do other things that actually might result in quality experiences. Anyway. Alright. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know if I did. I don't like trashing Star Wars. I've said before, and I'll say it again, I've loved Star Wars since before I can remember. I was like 2 years old. I don't remember the first time I ever watched Star Wars. I don't at all. And that tells you something about how much I have loved Star Wars throughout my entire life. But if a bunch of incompetent corporate people are just going to completely destroy the franchise, then you know what? They don't need my money, and I don't need Star Wars. I'll always remember the good parts of Star Wars, the parts made by George Lucas, and the parts made by Dave Filoni back in the day. But the modern stuff is trash, and it's not worth my time. It's not worth yours either. Don't give Disney your money. Until next time, everybody.